Yeah. Happy Election Day. Hope everybody gets to go out and do their civic duty on that one. I know I'm going after this. Also want to say congratulations to Coach Hine and the women's soccer team. That's awesome that they were able to win their division in soccer, and then got so many postseason awards, which is awesome. So I thought it was a great example of we got some very talented coaches in this department, and some people getting some recognition. That's great. So other than that, let's get to it. Questions?
Coach, I know the attitude's been great all year, but was there even a little extra pep in the step since the win Saturday?
You know, I thought we had our best practice of the year yesterday. Usually we don't practice on Monday. Usually we practice on Tuesday, but because of NCAA rules and the election, we're not practicing today. But I thought yesterday was our best practice of the year. I don't know if it was because of the win or why, but our guys are really focused, and it wasn't necessarily an attitude thing. It's not like they came out with a different attitude. We just executed really well and played with great effort yesterday. So there was extra pep in the step. Why that is, I don't know. I don't know if they knew they were getting a day off the day after and knew they could just give it everything they had or what it was. But there certainly was. It was great to see us have a great practice on Sunday and again yesterday.
No question about defense. I was mostly paying attention Saturday. Two turnovers, a special teams situation, and a turnover on downs all left them with good field position, and I don't think they got any points out of any one of those four.
Our sudden change defense has really been pretty good all year. I've been very impressed with what Coach Seiler and the rest of our defensive staff have been able to do with our sudden change defense. I thought that was a real big key in the game. For us to be able to overcome those turnovers and those sort of things. They were able to get a few points off the fake punt, and that sort of thing. But in general, I thought our defense has done a great job of that, and that was a really, really big difference in the game.
Is there one thing that's single most important for being a good sudden change defense?
I think, having a 1-0 mentality and not thinking, oh, woe is me, and just giving into the moment, but just saying, okay, yeah, we're going to stop them. This is our opportunity to go out and make a play and help our team win this game. And it goes both ways. Sometimes you see the guys, oh man, I can't believe we gave the offense turned it over. I can't believe the special teams gave up that play or one of those sort of things. Or you can approach it as, all right, hey, this is a great opportunity for us to go out there and show our team that we're going to make an impact right here and get them to, attempt a field goal or get our own turnover or whatever. So I think that's how you've got to approach it, as an opportunity as opposed to an obstacle.
You talk every week about penalties. How pleased were you with how that went Saturday? Yeah,
I thought it went really well. There's always going to be a few penalties that are missed and things but that's and a few that are called that maybe you don't agree with. That's every week, so those tend to balance themselves out. I thought the thing we did in the last game is we got rid of the pre and post snap penalties. We had the one pre-snap penalty there at the end of the game, which obviously we've got to eliminate. But other than that, we were really clean on that. We had the two pre-snap penalties, and unfortunately they were both in the fourth quarter. But other than that, we did really, really well, and I thought it showed a lot of focus and those sort of things. Both the penalties we technically were able to overcome because we were still able to kick the field goal on the one that was on the offense, and we were still able to stop them on the one that was on the defense. So that was huge to be able to overcome those. But that was a big focus for that week, to eliminate pre- and post-snap penalties, and we did that, which was huge.
That Lamarion kickoff return, how did that spark you guys there? Getting into the end, getting into halftime, what kind of spark did that provide for you guys?
Yeah, the last 4 minutes of the half, and really the first 4 or 5 of the second half were really interesting. It was back and forth. They took the lead, and then we ran back the kick, and then they came back and tied it. And then we went down and scored on the first drive. So there was a lot of things going on there in that middle 8 period. So that was obviously a big one. We were struggling a little bit on offense right there. We'd put together some drives, but we hadn't kept them going and when we needed to. It was great blocking on that play, and obviously he let his natural ability take over and those sort of things. There were some great effort plays, E.J. Green running down there and doing some great things right there, right next to Lamarion. So that was a huge play in the game. We've been close a couple times earlier this year on kickoff return, so that was a major shift right there.
Kind of follow up on Lamarion, just what he brings to the table. I mean, I guess it was obvious with what he brought to the table Saturday. I guess, are you expecting more of that?
He's done a really, really nice job on special teams all year long. Whether it's been making good decisions as a kick returner, whether it's been, as our bullet on punt. I mean, if you look in the last game, they were lining two guys over our bullets and double teaming them, which is something you see in the NFL. Difference is in the NFL, the other guys can't leave till the ball's kicked. In college, everybody can leave, so it's very, very rare that you see that in college. And the fact that our guys were able to attract that much attention, Lamarion and Javon Harvey that's a major thing, and it should help our punt game the whole time. So he's been making some plays on special teams, and I think his natural ability is starting to show through, and he's gaining a lot of confidence, and I'm excited. He's right where I thought he'd be, and so I'm excited where he is right now.
That game went down to the last 2 seconds. You had their possession at midfield right before that.
Mm-hmm.
How important is a game like that in your development as a new head coach? In terms of game management, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I look back at it, and obviously there were some things like I talked about on the fake punt. I probably should have called timeout on that one, and those sort of things. But I thought I improved in the game management aspect of it and being able to manage the clock at the end of the game. That's something that is an experience thing, and obviously every game we've played a lot of close games, and so I've had some experience now with it and those sort of things. I thought I made some improvements on it. I thought our kids made some improvements on how they managed it, which allowed our coaching staff to manage the clock a little bit better. And so I thought that's just something that I need to continue to do a better job of. It gains, obviously I gain confidence in those situations as I do it more often, and the kids gain confidence in executing those situations as well. So we've had quite a few close games already, and we've got a bunch of different situations that we're going to be able to fall back on throughout the rest of this year. So, I mean, you can't ever – what's hard is in practice creating those, right? And we attempt to, but it's just not the same when they're manufactured a little bit.
It's been a minute since you had a road game. Kind of ready to get right back in the swing of that, or is the time that the 4 weeks make a difference?
I don't it's not that big a deal. It's funny, you actually probably get more rest and sleep and all those sort of things in a road game. Because, or at least I do, because I sleep like a baby on planes and buses. So, I'll pretend, like I said before, I'll pretend like I'm going to read a book, and then I'm out before the plane takes off. So, so I probably get more rest on road games than I do home games, because on home games, a lot of times I'm out recruiting, and doing those sort of things. So I think our players are very similar to that. I mean, the fact that we're able, Dr. Seelig and allows us to stay in a hotel the night before home games, I think is a big deal, because it kind of keeps things consistent on road games. So it's not that big a deal. Obviously, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that we're going to have no issues with our travel this week. But I don't see it as being, quite maybe the obstacle that, maybe some people do.
Have you talked to the team at all about bowl eligibility?
No.
I'm guessing your answer is going to be something to do with 1-0.
I'll avoid the 1-0 answer, and I'll tell you, no, I have not. No, just hasn't even come up. So, like I said before, I think that the guys have gotten so used to what my answer is going to be, just like you have, that they just quit asking. It's kind of like my kids when they ask that, my kids have stopped asking for ridiculous things. So, which is because they know I'm going to say no. So yeah, it's pretty. I guess being consistent has its rewards at times. So, but I think that the one thing that I would say is every game we get to play is a blessing. Every time we get to play a game is a blessing, and so our guys are focused on being able to win this game, and God willing, stay together as long as humanly possible. Because like I've said before, each team is its own team, and each year is its own team. There is no college football is not a thing where you build anymore. You don't build on one year to the next. It's every year is starting over. And it's each own individual team, so you have to recognize that there's a finality to every bit of it.
Coach, the events that led up to you guys having today off, there was a lot of events that led up to that. You guys have this relationship with your guys that I'm sure goes far beyond the field. Mm-hmm. What's your open door policy like for them coming to talk to you about things that are happening off the field, and do you have guys come and talk to you about issues that are impacting them and what they see and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I have an open door policy. It's not as open door as it used to be with COVID. It's actually a closed door, but they can come open it whenever they want. So I can take my mask off every once in a while. But yeah, I mean, they come to me about a number of different topics all the time. Some guys are more open with doing that, and other guys aren't. I would hope that they would know that I'm going to keep an open mind of whatever they're going to say, and on a little slightly different area. I mean, the mental health of our players and mental health of college kids everywhere, and really Americans everywhere has been, I think we can all agree, it's been negatively impacted by this pandemic. Either that or it's always been there, and it's just exacerbated the issue, and we've all maybe got a little window into what that can be like, and that isolation and those sort of things. So, any kids that are having problems with that, I always encourage them to come see me. I think we've been pretty open about the fact that we're going to help guys with those sort of things, and so I think our guys feel very comfortable about that, as opposed to maybe when all of us were a little bit younger, and as a 19-year-old male, you weren't real comfortable in saying, I'm struggling, right? Because back when we were all growing up, that was a sign of weakness, and I think now it's a little bit seen more as a sign of strength to be able to admit when you need help. So, yeah, I have an open door policy all the time.
Ricky, you're not the first coach I've ever heard use the 1-0 approach.
Nope.
Where did you get it, and where do you think it came from?
I mean, I imagine it probably came from either Walter Camp or Newt Rockne. One of those guys probably thought it up one day, probably when they only had one game that season. Yeah, it might have been by whoever the first coach for Rutgers or Princeton was probably the first guy who said to go 1-0 back all the way back then. I got it from Coach Franklin, but I probably had heard it before that, but it probably didn't sink in until as adamant as he was about it. And, so it's just something that I do believe in, because I think it solves a lot of your issues of having to, where your message can stay very consistent regardless of what's going on around you. And you don't let your circumstances dictate your behavior. So I think that's one of the reasons I really like it, And so, but yeah, it's a message. I think it's been, like I said, used all the way from probably Walter Camp to, Bud Wilkinson to, Bear Bryant, all the way on up. I can't imagine that it wasn't something that has been used for a very, very, very long time. Has it evolved into a little bit more of a not only go 1-0 in this game, but go 1-0 in this play? I think, yeah, it probably has, and guys have seen the value of going not only 1-0 in this play, but 1-0 in this day or this practice, and it's probably evolved a little bit from that standpoint, but I think it's been a message in football for a long, long time.
We haven't heard anything about Smart or Spencer in a couple of weeks. Anything you want to offer up on those guys?
Yeah, I'll offer one thing. Isaiah is going to be out for the season, and he's I think you guys who've been around me know how I feel about Isaiah. He is a young man that I have the ultimate amount of respect for. He plays with so much heart and effort on every single play that obviously it hurt us for that to happen, but he's already on the road to recovery, and he'll be good to go next season. And he's got a smile on his face every day at practice. He's still there, and so he still brings the same joy. Stone is still day to day working through some things. So he still has a possibility to play in this one and in the future weeks. But he's still working through a few things. But Isaiah's going to be out.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.